Deuces, my guys. Welcome and hello. We are the Star Wars Media. It is myself, Chris.
Me, Dion.
Ross, and I am the local shopping grocer.
The Bagel.
The Bagel.
Yeah,
The local shop.
That's his rapper name.
Chad.
The Bagel.
yeah, Chad, bro.
Chad, my guy. Fair enough.
Yes.
So yes, this is an review for was it episode 5 of season 2 of The Mandalorian? The Jedi.
Yes. Directed by Dave Filoni.
Sure, anyway.
Yes. Absolutely. Okay. So yeah, Lamar, you want to bring us down this time on what happened?
Right, so this episode starts off with them coming out of well, not necessarily hyperdrive, but it's like they found this planet. I don't remember the name because the planet name isn't that important. And they land in what basically looks like Mustafar, but I think Boss might have farted a bit too much. So they get there, and like Baby Yoda's still obsessed with like the handle for like I think it's the thruster in the ship, and so he tries to take it and uses the Force to try and take the handle off of the thing, and then like they land, they pull off and do all the thing, and then Baby Yoda just sit down. He plots his arse on like the ramp to get off the ship, and he's like, "Oh, fancy shiny thing." And then Mando turns around and says, "Oh, you got to stop taking it." So then they go to look around, and then we cut away to the real star of this episode, Ahsoka Tano, out here just beating people up with her like grey lightsabers. Well, these guys look like Tusken Raiders, but they weren't Tusken Raiders because they weren't on a Tusken planet. And basically, she took all of their numbers and beat all of their asses up. And then we find out that she's basically being Robin Hood to save this little small town because some Imperial, I don't know what she was, some lady was like, "Oh, I run shit here." And she's like, "Oh, you can either give up or I'm gonna come here and kill all of your people, including you. And you have till tomorrow." And then she just fades off into like one of Bosk's farts, and actually no, it's more like Jabba's farts because it's huge. And then Mando comes with his little man bag and his like feminine walk, and then walks into town after being interviewed by her number 2, who looks like but he looked like that dude from Spider-Man 3, bro. Like he looked like the old dude who told Harry Osborn about how Norman Osborn was a bitch. Anyway, not to get tried. Yeah, him, bruv, Bernard, bruv. My man Bernard, isn't it? Anyway,
My man Bernard.
Not to get stapled up to some shit. Yeah, he's like, "Oh, who are you?" And I'm like, "I'm here to find a Jedi." And he's like, "Okay, come in." So he's walking through the town, and like this town looks like it's made up of like one road, and like you got people in their houses, and he's like asking people, and people are just ignoring him. And then he goes to speak to Chirrut Enway in the corner, and he's like dealing with his kids in it. It's not actually Chirrut Enway, but it's like some Asian man. And then the Asian man, before these Tusken people come looking around, they're like, "Oh, you can't talk to any of us." And then Amando's like, "I just want information." He gets pulled away by like these weird looking people with like, I don't even know. And then he goes to speak to the Asian lady, who, not gonna lie, looks like a really old Mulan, innit? What's it? Yeah, she looks like Mulan, and then she's like,
Yeah, Bruce Lee's got old Mulan.
Goes to talk to her, and he's like, "Oh, I'm looking for a Jedi, this, that, and the third." And then she's like, "Oh, I have a Jedi, but like she's a pain in my such and such." And then he's like, "Oh, if you can get rid of her, you can have my Beskar spear, which is completely pointless, but I can ding it on the ground and it sounds like a bell." And he's like, "Yeah, okay, cool." So he goes off, and then like he runs into Ahsoka, and she, like, well, I mean, people are gonna argue with me, bruv, but she beat his, whatever we're gonna call it, his space bender. And then he's like, "I'm not trying to fight you. I'm trying to work with you in it because I've got this child." And then she's like, "Oh, I can talk to him through like telepathic telepathic force abilities." And then we find out that the child's name's Grogu, which ain't nobody calling him that. It's Baby Yoda or the child. I don't care what it's called. It could be called fucking Etchkin for all I give a shit. And yeah, and then they do like this training exercise where like they play pass the parcel with a rock, and Baby Yoda, Baby Yoda is just like Nah, I ain't trying to play with no rock. I want a lightsaber. I want like no, not even a lightsaber. I want a donut. Give me something to eat. And then, like, so she hands him this rock. Well, she doesn't hand it to him. She pushes it towards him. And then like he's like, oh, rock. Nah, I'm bored. I don't want it. And then Mando's like, oh, look, shiny thing from earlier that you really like for some weird reason, but it's only ever appeared at now. And then what's oh god, brain. Then she's like Ahsoka says, "Oh, you've grown an attachment to this. Like he's grown an attachment to you, so he's been more likely to respond to you if you gave him commands and stuff." And then, like they wanted to really emphasize that he's not called Baby Yoda or the child or the foundling, is Grogu, because every time the Mando goes, "Oh, Grogu," this dude turns his head like, "What? What did you say?" And so on. And then it just boils down to Mando basically doing nothing for an entire episode whilst Ahsoka kicks ass, or the main protagonist that isn't Mandalorian does badass shit like flips, and kills people, and then like we get a shootout which consists of who can draw their gun first between Mando and the dude from earlier, and Mando still won because it's Mandalorian and he's wearing Beskar armor, and then we got to see Ahsoka versus Plastic Spear. And yeah, Mulan, bro. I'm sorry. This Beskar spear thing just is so stupid, bro. It's so dumb. Like, do you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of I was about to call it tinfoil. Captain Phasma and her staff. It reminds me of that, even though like that's a whole different type of tinfoil. Yeah, and this whole thing of like we got to see Ahsoka fight in live action, and it was kind of cool, but it was like I would rather like her fight up against like someone with a sword or like a shield or something cool. But no, we got like some throwaway spear that got given to Mando at the end of the episode, which he probably ain't even gonna use unless it's to hunt like fucking tauntauns or some shit. And then the episode ends with Ahsoka giving out this information of take him to random planet with the same letter as I don't know, a delivery company, and see who can call out who whether he like give him the choice of whether he wants to pursue a way in the Force or not. And basically Ahsoka basically told Mando to apply him online for the Force, and long story short, he ended up like he was like, okay, so I'll just take him to this planet and then put him on a tree stump, and then if he calls out for the Force, someone's gonna come get him. And basically yeah, she like called and collected his shit. And then the episode ends and we get the title crawl. What did you guys think of the episode?
That was an interesting synopsis. No, it was quite funny actually.
It was a long synopsis, bro. God damn.
Yeah,
You basically run down the whole episode.
pretty much.
That's true.
One way or another, you did, yeah.
I mean, there's a few details, but I mean, for example, we find out Baby Yoda was trained in the Jedi Temple during the prequel era.
Oh, sorry, my bad. I just didn't give a shit.
Eggs and bacon,
It was completely pointless.
So we find out that Baby Yoda was trained in the Jedi Temple,
On Coruscant.
and I feel like they were jabbing a little bit at the sequels with Ahsoka saying, using the Force requires a great level of discipline and training. It's just like, ha, fuck you, Ray.
Yeah. Totally, you just waving your hand around and healing niggas like you fucking Mother Teresa or some shit.
And then,
Teresa
like,
had more training than Rey, confirmed.
Sorry.
First real
as well
Jedi.
in the beginning, we see, like, obviously we're seeing Ahsoka killing the, I guess, the scouts, and she's sort of like jumping in and out of the shadows, and it kind of reminds me of Starkiller from the Force Unleashed 2 trailers, where he's just sort of jumping in and out, killing the stormtroopers, but less gruesome because you don't actually see her impaling any of them. But then you see her like using a log in the tree to throw at someone. That was cool. Like, I don't feel like we see Force users using their environment enough in fights.
No.
Yes.
That's a very good point. They just throw stuff. There's like Dooku, maybe Palpatine, that's about it. And Vader.
Yeah, Dooku, Palpatine, Vader does it in Episode 5.
Yeah.
That's
Although
kind
he
of
threw
it.
his lightsaber though, which isn't part of his surroundings, it's part of his kit.
I mean, he also was in episode 5. He was throwing things from the wall.
Yeah,
Yeah.
at Luke. It's kind of been like, catch.
Oh, you're not catching. You're no fun.
Fucking Zurg did better with one of the Buzz Lightyears in Toy Story 2. I'm playing ball with my dad. Catch.
Yeah.
And then
Sorry, but yeah, go on.
when we end up actually seeing the Mandalorian, he's just sort of like, yeah, I've never dealt with a Jedi before. Like, no shit, you didn't even know what one was.
You was like, oh wait, where do I buy one of those at?
Yeah.
Are they made of Beskar?
Do they come in the deal with all
Beskar
the
seems to be the
Beskar?
only thing that matters in this show. And to touch
Bro,
on what Lamar was saying about the spear, why not a bloody sword? It would have been so much more practical against a lightsaber, especially if it had a
Like-
crossguard.
To be honest with you, is a point now where the Mandalorian is basically space Black Panther. Like everybody's got Beskar, and like all we need now is like some fucking space Dora Milaje, and then that's pretty much it. Like we would basically have space Black Panther because this whole Beskar in everything shit is boring. I mean, it isn't, but it's like.
To be honest, though, I feel like I would agree with you if it was everyone having Beskar. But so far, it's only been the Mandalorian and Imperials, because the Magistrate is actually an Imperial, as we see later in the episode, with one of the big reveals of Ahsoka questioning her on where Grand Admiral Thrawn is. Now that has led to a lot of speculation from people about, is Thrawn the one leading the remnants of the Empire? Now, I'm kind of 50-50 on that, because it would be cool if he is leading the Remnant, because it would be very much like the original EU. However, it would also make sense if he wasn't, because Ahsoka would be looking for Thrawn anyway, because Ezra and Thrawn at the end of Rebels do disappear.
Toothpick lightsabers. Sorry.
So, yeah, it would make sense if she's hunting for him for either reason, because if Thrawn has come back and taken over the Empire, maybe he has Ezra hostage, or I don't know. I guess we'll have to see. And then another small reference that they had was the HK droids. Now,
Yes.
they're nowhere near as cool as HK-47 or HK-55 or HK-51. There was no meat bag calling.
No,
Which-
that would have been neat.
That would have been nice. But, you know what? It was cool just to have the name drop, because it opens the door.
And it shows they're taking some sort of notice of it. Instead
Yeah.
of like, oh, we have no material, but we'll use
You
the
have no
name anyway.
material. There hasn't been 30 years of books, comics, and games for us to follow.
It's just
But
that
yeah,
one meme.
anyway.
Upgrades, people, upgrades.
Yes. But back on track. We have Ahsoka and the Mandalorian deciding they're going to team up. And they're like,
Yeah.
a Jedi and a Mandalorian, they never see it coming. Which is very similar to Canderous and Revan in Knights of the Old Republic. Because they have a similar sort of sentiment about it. Because, like, it wasn't that long ago that the Mandalorian Wars happened, where the Mandalorians tried to take out everybody.
Yeah.
So, I wouldn't say it's exactly a reference or an Easter egg, but it's a similar sort of thing that it reminds me of. And speaking of stuff from the Old Republic era that they reference, Tython is the planet that Baby Yoda, or Grogu, is going to be taken to. That's going to take some getting used to be honest. Calling him
Just take him
Grogu.
to check out.
Grogu. Yes.
I ain't calling
It's not
him
Beetlejuice.
Dookie, bro.
For those of you that don't know, Tython is, in the original EU, the homeworld of the Jedi. It's where it all began. And
First temple.
so essentially, that was where the Jedi were. But some
Really?
got sacked by the Sith. They went back to Tython. So
I
in the
didn't
Old
know
Republic game, you'll train as a Jedi on Tython, although you're stuck with the crappy little practice saber for 10 levels.
Kind of
But
wish they took
anyway.
him to Ilum instead.
See, that would be cool, but at the same time, that would just mean fighting loads of Imperials, and it wouldn't really be safe. It wouldn't make a lot of sense.
You'd force Mando to
I mean,
fight.
True, but I feel like with what they're doing, they're going to need to have some episodes where they're keeping it a bit lower, keeping it, plot-based instead. Now, I'm not sure if we're going to go to Tython next episode. Now, I say this because this is episode 5. We've got 3 episodes left. I don't think it would be too difficult for them to draw out this back end of the season with, say, more side quests with Cara Dune and Greef Karga, and then end the story on a cliffhanger.
Arriving at Tython.
Not even just arriving at Tython. My theory is that Baby Yoda will get kidnapped, and the Mandalorian will have to work with another Jedi to get him back. Now, I only say this because at the moment there has been no confirmation that the Mandalorian is going to go into another timeline like some people are hypothesizing. Which, don't get me wrong, I would love that. I don't like the sequels, I'm very open about that. But at the same time, is it really smart for them to go in a separate direction? Yes, because they'll bring some of the old fans back, but no, because they won't be able to bring all of those old fans back, and they'll be alienating the newer fans, as weird as I believe they are. But as well, it can get a bit timey-wimey, confusing. Just look at the DC universe as an example. You've got how many different times that you've had Flashpoint happen. Even just the DC animated movies, we've had the first timeline, then Flashpoint happened, and then most recently in Apocalypse War, you've had another one. It's been like 3 different timelines essentially. So if they were to do that with Star Wars, I think it could get a bit confusing, although they have opened the door for time travel, so if they were to use that and then maybe find a way to streamline it a bit better, it might help. But again, I feel like it might just get a bit confusing, considering Star Wars has never really been based around time travel. It's never been an established thing. It might just be a bit much.
There's only really the Worlds Between Worlds is probably the closest thing you can get, I guess.
Exactly. And I'm pretty sure it's established that a strong Force user is needed for that. And because of what the Mandalorian is, if they was to introduce that to create this alternate timeline, I feel like it would be straying away from what the show is, and I don't feel like it would be a good idea.
No.
Because it's supposed to be a space western about a bounty hunter, like a lone gunslinger. If they stop, they've already brought in, bigger things like the Mandalorians, like rearming, Ahsoka. They're hinting towards more Jedi possibly coming in, which I'll speak about in a minute. Like the remnants of the Empire, the New Republic. You've got a lot of things going on, and if they don't use spin-off shows to explore these things, I feel like this show is going to get very bogged down, especially considering the fact that they only have 8 episodes per season with about half-an-hour episodes. It's very difficult to flesh out a world that very well when you have very short episodes and not many seasons. No, short episodes and not many episodes.
Yeah.
Because
do a lot in a small amount of time.
Look at shows like in the Arrowverse. Now, the parent show of that entire universe, Arrow, it's got 8 seasons. Their last season has 10 episodes, but that's the closing season. All the other seasons were 23 episodes, and they were 45 minutes long. So it gave them plenty of time to have points in the episode that were action-packed, points in the episode that were character-based, and I feel like The Mandalorian could very much... what's the word?
Take inspiration?
Yeah. They could definitely benefit from that kind of approach, because I feel like Episode 2, for example, are like my least favourite episode of The Mandalorian so far. Most of the backlash it has outside of Baby Yoda eating the eggs, which is just more to Mando's parenting ability than anything else. But I feel like a lot of the reason a lot of people don't like it is it was quite, in my opinion, for example, it's boring. I didn't find it very exciting. There was a few moments like the X-Wing chase, and then running away from the spiders, it was alright, but they spent way too much time in the ship, not doing too much. And I mean, I guess they were trying to flesh out other characters, but it's a one-off character that we're never going to see again. It didn't really... I don't feel like it developed Mando's character or Baby Yoda's character at all.
Yeah.
Like, because you've got Ahsoka in this episode, for example, saying, oh yeah, he'll listen to you. Mando even says, that'll be a first. So, like, how is this attachment going to make him listen to Mando? Like, he already doesn't.
That needs to be
It's
fleshed
not like
out.
they've gone through that much more since, apart from Baby Yoda getting swallowed by that thing.
Fucking sea sarlacc, bruv. But that's the
Sea
thing,
Sarlacc.
That's what the Seesaw like it basically is.
It basically is, because like how they kept it at the bottom of that ship, I have no clue. And the fact is, for 2 seasons of this show, we don't have any real connection with the main character. We have more in common as fans, as ununited as we are, with the characters that they bring on screen. So like Grief Karga and Cara Dune, or Ahsoka, or the fucking Three Stooges. I don't give a shit. Well, I do give a shit. But those
and the Night Owls.
them motherfuckers, right? We have more in common with them, and we know more about them than we do with the main character. Because all the main character spends his time doing is being a babysitter who gets himself shot and uses his fucking jetpack. And it's like we don't see him do enough that it's like almost each and every episode is just give us more. Fucking stop fucking shutting doors down all the fucking time. Anyway,
like, so far, what do we know about the main character? We know that he was saved from a separatist attack by Mandalorians, and that's about it. And that he's a bounty hunter.
We know he's alleged taking his helmet off. He can't make attachments because he's like
He can't make but the reason it's difficult to buy his attachments is because they haven't fleshed out the character enough.
They haven't. They fleshed out he's a babysitter, and that's about it.
Don't get me wrong. Yes, it's difficult to flesh out a character that's always wearing a mask, but it's possible. It's like the budget that they have and the writing ability that they have on that creative team. They can definitely pull it off. Like, there's even episodes where you see even the camera angles. It's sort of trying to show that Mando's deep in thought, or you see him like looking at things. Like, you can see thought processes there, but because we don't really know the character too well, like we still don't know a lot about how he thinks outside
we just
of.
know that he's dumb as shit.
Yeah, because like, as well, this is a common complaint about the first season. He goes from ruthless bounty hunter to, oh, I'm just going to do good everywhere I go now.
Yeah,
like
He just jumps in. Boom.
Like, it makes sense with some other Mandalorians in the past because the Mandalorians had a code of honor. So it made sense, whereas we've had the code of the Guild, but they haven't explored the code of the Mandalorians outside of you can't remove your helmet, which is a very superficial. It's a material thing. Whereas if they was to go into the more moral side of the Mandalorian culture, that might allow us to connect with the main character more. Because that was something I brought up in one of our previous videos about how the character with the least character in the show is the Mandalorian.
Who's the main character?
exactly. He's the nigga we have to see every damn episode. Like,
Yeah.
don't even, like he makes more bad choices, like trusting people. Like, he'll go on a planet and he'll just trust people. Like, I guarantee you that him going to that planet with the stupid frog and her fish eggs, that wouldn't have happened. Like, okay, cool, he trusted the crazy sand lady with the afro, and like next you know he's on some planet and like he almost got swallowed by a giant, I don't know, sea sarlacc. But like, had he just put his foot down and said, I want my information, I'm not trying to get on my boat or any of that other stuff, we wouldn't have had that whole thing. I mean, yeah, okay, it was cool as it was an excuse to bring in Bo-Katan and her Three Stooges, or her Two Stooges even, and like all this other stuff. But it's like, we need, not necessarily character development, we need to be able to connect with the main character. Otherwise, what the stakes really are from all the people who don't connect with the main character is, oh, he's got this child who has a name but nobody gives a shit, and nobody wants to take the child, so we're going to take him and apply him on the internet just so we can see who wants to take the child on, or put a fucking online bid out or some shit. Like, this is easy.
I'll be honest, I liken the Mandalorian's over-trusting nature to Superman in the way that, you know how typically in TV shows, you'll see Superman not try and dodge a bullet, and it turns out it's a kryptonite bullet and he's getting hurt.
Yes.
Now, people do complain, why doesn't he just dodge the bullets? And it's just like, well, if you're Superman, you're not expecting for that bullet to be able to hurt you.
No,
And it's much the same with the Mandalorian in this show, because he's got Beskar. It's not like they can kill him.
Yes, but you can eat him.
unless they,
I'm sure
unless
he must
they
taste
shoot,
good.
unless they shoot, you know, the 40% of his body that isn't covered.
Like his ass crack and his back, like that's about it. Like you shoot his booty hole or something. And
You
like,
need to get
he's
the
got-
Beskar bunda.
Trust me. Space bundle in that hole.
Anyway, I'd
It's
like to go back to the episode for a minute.
Yeah.
Theorizing about these Jedi that might come along, because me and the Bagel were having a little discussion before we did this video about who these Jedi could be, because there's only about, 50 to 100 Jedi left, supposedly, after Order 66 was enacted. So,
And some of them will have died, like Kain and Obi-Wan Yoda.
yeah, some of them will have died. Some of them, like Ahsoka, won't be considering themselves Jedi anymore.
Or
So,
one of
who
them.
is actually left?
Cal Kestis?
Cal Kestis is left. We've got Ezra
Ezra.
Bridger, who I don't particularly want to see back, but if it's done right, I could see myself liking the character more. Because, in the later seasons of Rebels, he wasn't as bad. I just felt like he needed a bit more. He needed to grow up a little bit still, because he was still very much naive and panicky about everything.
And he finally got over his parents being dead and not having to go to Lothal every 10 seconds.
Yeah. So, if it's done right, it could go well. Same with Cal Kestis. With Cal Kestis, you had more character development in that one game, in my opinion, than you did with Ezra when it came to his loss. Like, Cal Kestis was able to take the lessons that death gave him and
Get
move
past
on.
it. Yeah, like he full
To
on
be
fought
honest-
his past, if you will.
Like, the truth is, if you haven't played Jedi The Fallen Order, first of all, what are you doing watching this? Go play that game right now. I don't care how much money you have, you go play that shit. Second of all, there isn't a real way to bring Cal Kestis in, but at the same time, it's like, well, who else are they going to get to come pick up this child? And, because obviously you can't do it with Luke and, the main characters of, the new fucking movies and shit, but at the same time, it's like, well, we need to start either bringing names to people or start creating characters for people to, logically make sense in this universe. Because it's all about, how the landscape is, and it's just, well, they kind of tied themselves to, a wall with this one, because, well, how are we going to do this? Sort of thing.
Because they could bring in members of Luke's new Jedi Order, but then that would beg the question, if it's someone so powerful in the Force, wouldn't Luke want to do it himself? And it's not like... it would be down to Mark Hamill realistically, because if he wanted to do it, they definitely have the budget, the money to spare, at Disney, to be able to give them the money to be able to pull that off. It's one of the highest budget TV shows in history. It has more budget than some Hollywood movies, so it's not like they wouldn't be able to pull it off. Kind of Civil War de-aging kind of thing that they did with Robert Downey Jr., they could do something like that. I feel like that would work. But I have a theory that I haven't heard yet, and it's that Ahsoka will come.
Ahsoka will just come back and be like, you know what, change room, is that what your theory is? Sort of thing.
Kind
She
of.
increased her bid for this child.
Basically, I feel like it might end up being something along the lines of Ahsoka's this is from her point of view, right? After this episode's finished. She's meditating on everything that's happened recently. She's meditating about Baby Yoda, and she senses danger. So she rushes off to get to Tython, because she doesn't know if the Mandalorian can handle it. And then she's there to try and save the Mandalorian and Baby Yoda from the remnants of the Empire, or, I don't know, whatever else it could be. Now, I only say this because if Dave Filoni has as big a part as he does, I doubt he's just going to want to bring in Ahsoka and then not
Be
have
done
her
with
back
it.
again. Because Ahsoka is basically his child.
Yeah.
He created Ahsoka, and if it wasn't for Dave Filoni, Ahsoka would have died in the Clone Wars. George Lucas wanted to kill her, but Dave Filoni was like, yo, back up. how
my bad.
about we don't? How about we don't kill her, but
send her
instead find a way to fit her into the canon without? And George Lucas was like, "Okay, I trust you. Go for it." And so I feel like she could come back, but at the same time, I don't think it's likely. It would be something I would like to see because it would show a level of maturity of Ahsoka being it's a maturity that Ahsoka should have by now. And I mean, I'm not saying that she doesn't or she hasn't displayed it before, but it would show that she's willing to sort of backtrack on things that she said. Maybe even if it is like, I'm not going to train him as a Jedi, but I will look after him, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which would make sense because, like, she says in the episode that she's seen what the dark side or attachments can do to a fully trained Jedi Knight. But that same Jedi Knight was brought back because of attachments. And the Jedi Knight that won the Galactic Civil War had attachments. And she herself had attachments.
Exactly.
So it's... Like, I understand her viewpoint, but at the same time, there's multiple examples that she just needs to open her eyes to.
She needs to open up them eyeballs.
I mean, I think...
Now,
Sorry.
there's one last theory that some people have come up with, which I don't think is going to happen in a million years. Samuel L. motherfucking Jackson. Mace Windu coming back. Now, don't get me wrong, I'd love to see Mace Windu alive, but not in The Mandalorian, because he's going to be in his 70s. Like, there's no point in him coming back in The Mandalorian if in the Star Wars timeline he's in his 70s and he's not going to be able to do anything. Like, physically. Because it's Samuel L. Jackson. He's going to want to move about. He's going to want to look badass. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to be Mace Windu. I think the most likely candidate is Ezra or a member of Luke's new Jedi Order, purely because Ezra, Dave Filoni, and Luke's Jedi Order, it's tying it in to the established universe in the movies.
Yeah.
And then Ahsoka, again, Filoni.
I actually do like your idea of it being Ahsoka. I do actually quite a lot. What, in theory, if they were going to go on for like the third series or the third season, or if they were to make a whole different series with, say, Bo-Katan and Cara Dune, you've got to think Moff Gideon is tracking the Razor Crest, right?
Yeah.
I was expecting there to be another thing of the Imperial remnant just appearing on that fucking desolate planet where Ahsoka was the end, but obviously they didn't. So maybe, if your theory of it being Ahsoka and her sense in danger, it could be Moff Gideon follows them to Tython, and he starts sending in his super troopers, that fucking the Mando and the baby, or Grogu, and he's just like, I need more eggs, and it's just like, fuck, we need more eggs, and then Ahsoka senses it, and then maybe Mando's able to contact her. She's got some tech somewhere with his tech, and he's just like, help, it's Moff Gideon, I need help. And then she's just like, yo, Bo-Katan, we need a hand. And she's just like, yes, I've got these weapons that he helped us steal. I will bring them in this massive cargo ship.
I feel like that would be really cool, because it will bring back the characters that they've already established as allies to help.
And they'd have reason and moral to help. It's like, yo, he helped us.
And if this season doesn't end on a cliffhanger, so say, for example, they kill Moff Gideon in this episode, or in this season, rather, next season could be the Mandalorian helping other Mandalorians retake Mandalore.
Ooh.
However, if it ends on a cliffhanger, I believe it will be something along the lines of Baby Yoda getting captured, or they've just about gotten away by the skin of their teeth, and they're kind of licking their wounds, trying to recover, kind of thing.
Because if they played that, they could, if they wanted to, not saying they are thinking this or whatever, or they're just like not going to do it at all, but if they wanted to tie in, say, Ezra and Thrawn, that could be a way. Maybe he's put up shop on somewhere, not he's there on Mandalore, but they might have a base on Mandalore still, maybe, I don't know. If they're wanting to, Moff Gideon that way could be a good way.
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest theories about the Mandalorian is that Moff Gideon is on Mandalore, which would make sense as to why he has the Darksaber and why he knows so much about Mandalorians.
Yeah, and Bo-Katan would want him because he's got it, and that would bring it back to Mandalore. Yeah. Yo, if we've just sussed out series 3 or something, we are genius. Sometimes our genius is almost frightening.
Oh, this became a lot more theory based than our previous videos.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like they're gonna like give us this idea, and then we're gonna go with it, and then we're gonna get to a certain point and be like, you know what? I don't like this idea. Let's just take that from you and just give you something completely crap.
Honestly,
Baby
I
Yoda's
would
a cooking
agree
show.
if it was the rest of Lucasfilm heading it, but because it's Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, I don't think we'll get exactly what we're saying or exactly what we want. But we're going to get something that's gonna be good for the fans, because
Something more like it, if you will.
Because Dave Filoni, he's a walking Star Wars encyclopedia. He's the closest to George Lucas we're going to get in this current era of Star Wars.
Yeah.
And Jon Favreau has even said, when it comes to making a movie, he does it the same way he did stand-up comedy. You've got to read the room, know who you're telling these jokes to.
Yeah.
Or, in this case, making the product for. He knows that he's making it for passionate Star Wars fans, so he's going to try and please the fans. And not in the stupid J.J. Abrams way where, you know, you're trying to please everybody, including the people that caused everything to flop.
Yeah. Trying to please the people that don't necessarily deserve it. But you
And
still want
guess
some sort
what?
of revenue.
There's already controversy about this episode.
Really? What, the fact that his name's
Yeah.
Grogu and not Olaf or something?
Oh no, that's the worst part. It's not even about the episode.
Oh, well.
It's about Rosario Dawson, who is playing Ahsoka, who, in my opinion, did a really good job.
I think she did a great job, yeah.
Like, I think there are small things that don't make sense, like the Leku aren't as long as... Well, I don't know if they're called the Leku, that's Twi'leks, but the head thingies aren't
the
as long
tails
as
on
they
the
were.
head thingy.
Wasn't as long as it was in Rebels, but at the same time I can understand why they might do that, because it's just it's going to be more practical to move around with shorter ones.
Yeah.
And then her getting disarmed, maybe she was holding back. I mean, they're not big things, they're just nitpicks, but what people are having a problem with is Rosario Dawson is going out with, or she's married to, something like that, a conservative leader, and she's had something like 20 different accusations of being transphobic. Now, 18 out of 20 of them have been dropped by the accuser.
Oh, wow.
18 out of 20, meaning only 2 of them haven't dropped it, and the cases have gone nowhere. So, no harm, no foul. Well, not exactly no harm, no foul, because nothing was done. It's more, you know, if there's no evidence that it happened, and the accusers have turned around and gone, you know what, doesn't matter. And clearly, even if something did happen, it's not a big deal.
No, because they haven't continued trying to follow it up, presumably, yeah. Obviously, if it is true, that is, you know, something, because being transphobic is not a good thing, you know? Even, you know, everyone's got their opinion, but some opinions are just wrong. But, like,
And the
people
worst
think the
part
world's
is,
flat, it's not, but...
These are the same people that were complaining that there aren't enough strong women, there aren't enough women of colour. You've got a strong woman of colour. And you're
Ahsoka
trying
is
to kill
orange,
her.
for Pete's sake. She's a strong woman of colour.
And the actor is black.
Yeah.
But yeah, weird people aside, overall ratings of the episode, because we did go off on a bit of a tangent.
There's still more things that I want to pick up, but I can bring that up
Oh,
later.
go for it. No, go for it.
Let's say,
Go
like,
for it.
other things that you could be classed as, like, Easter eggs or whatever in the episode. Obviously, there was basically Ahsoka talking about Anakin, saying, like, how a fully fledged Jedi Knight fell to the dark
Yeah.
side for attachment.
Oh, the owl.
The owl, yeah. When
Yes.
Mando's looking for Ahsoka and he's walking through the desolate forest, not the frozen forest like Black Ops 3, obviously. But, yeah, while he's walking, you see on like the top of a branch the little like owl thingy that the daughter
turns into.
yeah, that she turns into
Moray,
in
I believe.
the Moray and the Mortis arc of the Clone Wars. That bird thingy that follows Ahsoka everywhere after that, you do see that like just on like a branch. So it's like, oh, Ahsoka's coming because the bird is here. And so that was pretty good. I noticed it the first time. I haven't rewatched the episode yet, but I'm definitely going to keep another eye out just in case I haven't been seeing things. But I'm pretty sure it's there.
No, it's definitely the same sort of bird. Although one thing that I found odd is it wasn't glowing.
Oh yeah, usually it glows like bright green.
So I don't know if they were just trying to keep it,
Hidden.
subtle, so new viewers wouldn't be confused. Like, what the fuck is that?
David Attenborough.
Or anything else.
But yeah, so that thing was there. When they're sat at the campfire and Ahsoka mentions about only ever knowing one other member of the child's species, Grogu, of his species, when
they
she
have
said
Yoda's
Yoda.
theme play.
Yeah, Yoda's theme plays in the background of that, and honestly, I almost cried.
That was a really nice scene, I'm not gonna lie.
Because it was so touching of Yoda, and honestly, that theme is actually beautiful. It's a beautiful theme.
And the first time you see Ahsoka, and at the very end of the episode, you have some real Clone Wars sort of music there, where they've got they've got Ahsoka's theme, but I believe at the end there's a bit of Burying the Dead in there.
Ah.
Which, like, that scene in the Clone Wars was probably one of the only...
7, right?
Like, yeah.
Oh, that's heartbreaking. Literally,
that scene, Five's death, and there might be a couple others that I'm forgetting right now, but there's only a few moments that got me like, oh shit, this is emotional.
99.
Oh. Let's not go there. But, yeah, I feel like it was a really nice nod to the Clone Wars. It made it feel like it was part of the greater Star Wars universe, which, as much as it's not what the show was at least perceived to be by most people originally, it's still cool that they're able to do that, as long as the show doesn't forget its identity in the process.
Yeah, that it's not about the Clone Wars, but you can definitely herald back to it with introductions of like Ahsoka and Bo-Katan and stuff like that. You can definitely use it as leverage in a way, but don't abuse the lever.
Yeah, it's like in the prequels. Every now and then, you'd get little hints of the original trilogy, like, you'd get, like, Vader's theme, like, coming through a little bit when Anakin's slaughtering the Tusken Raiders.
Yeah.
It's subtle, it's not huge, it's not completely derailing the prequel trilogy for the original trilogy. So, if they keep doing it with subtle music cues, a few appearances, I feel like that's the best way to do it.
Definitely.
Establish the Filoni-verse.
We like the Filoni-verse. Obviously, Lamar, I know you haven't watched like the Clone Wars or Rebels, but if you wanted to, I definitely would recommend it.
Yeah, 100%. Now, the Clone Wars, the first couple of seasons are a little bit difficult to get through on a first viewing.
But once
Season 3 is where it picks up, but after you finish the whole thing, you do end up appreciating the first 2 seasons a bit more.
Yeah, because they got to start off somewhere, and they probably were just getting their flow, and then after that, they started like getting their touch. Like, alright, we're really going for the Clone Wars now. Bim bam.
Yeah.
Bam.
And then Rebels, it shows the middle point between the Clone Wars and the Mandalorian for these characters. Now, the art style is off-putting. I don't like it. I only really watched it because Thrawn was there. And for those people that don't know, Thrawn is my joint first favourite character with Darth Revan.
I haven't seen one of my favourites yet, but that'd be quite difficult because you just kill everyone.
Yeah. Nihilus.
Nihilus they're all dead.
Just like Nihilus turns up on Tython and just sucks up the energy of the planet.
Victory. Oh, we're done. Bye. Oh, Lord.
But yeah, I mean, have we missed any other Easter eggs or little references? Oh, well, this isn't one that we've missed. It's one that they've technically missed. There was no references to Rex.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even think of that.
But I do have an idea. If we do end up seeing Mandalore at any point, we might end up seeing Rex and Wolf there.
I hope so, yeah, because Gregor won't be there, because R.I.P. Gregor, he died.
Yeah. But, like, that's the thing. The clones are probably one of the closest things to Mandalorians you're going to get. and Rex fought alongside the Mandalorians, so Bo-Katan's going to have some sort of respect for him, so maybe he decided to join up with them.
I bloody hope so.
I feel like at the moment that's my theory on how they would work in the voice actor.
If they bring him in more, I'd love to see that.
Although I'm not sure if we will get a live-action Rex.
Well,
I just don't know.
We kind of have, in a way, but not intentionally.
No, I mean, because if they're having a different voice actor, but they've got Tamura Morrison there, why would they have a different voice when it's technically the same person?
Yeah.
Yeah, any other Easter eggs or references, or things that we think they missed out on?
I don't know, actually. I'm not sure.
Yeah, nothing else is really springing to mind at the moment.
Lamar, can you think of anything?
It wasn't. I wouldn't say it's more of an Easter egg, but you could kind of say you could kind of draw a line between when she reverse grips the lightsaber in the fight with the spear, about how you could kind of say that's like a reference to Starkiller, because he's not necessarily known for it, but he's one of the more popular people that's kind of reverse gripped with lightsabers before, considering how difficult.
That is what a lot of people were saying when they first saw Ahsoka. They thought that it might have been a reference to Starkiller. I also think, though, because she had front grip for a lot of the episode, that was just sort of her, like, kind of showing, like, I ain't fucking about with you now. It's over.
I'm playing with y'all fucking tinfoil spirit, but
yeah. You've actually made me think of something.
Go on.
You mentioning her lightsaber and how she was using them. When she sneaks up on two of those like scout people while they're running through the town, like sneaking up and killing everyone one by one. And she sneaks up on two, and then from behind them, she ignites her lightsabers like from together.
Yeah.
It's like I think while I was watching a video, it was how when she goes to I don't know if she does it every time in Rebels, but I know when she went to fight Vader, I think it was she started them like pulled them apart sort of like that. So I don't know if they were just doing a little teaser to that, or that was just like, look at this is cool. I was like, that is cool.
I think it might have been a bit of both.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest. The only time I've seen anybody do that outside of Ahsoka, now this is just, it might just be bad memory, but it was from a fan film that somebody made called School Duel. And they made lightsaber nunchucks.
Oh my god. Oh my lord.
Oh, that back in 2008 or something like that. So young.
I might have to go look for that now, just to be like, oh, is this true? Oh, it is true. Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of anything else for this episode, to be honest.
No, but it was very enjoyable, I will say that.
Yeah, so, Lamar, your overall ranking for this episode?
I'd give it a 9, just purely out of the fact that it was something new. It had its moments where it was kind of like, do we really need this? But at the same time, I feel like I mean, it's a 9, but it's not a 10 for the pure purpose of I wish they didn't introduce the whole third door thing. But at the same time, as an overall episode on its own, it has its own merit, so I'd give it a 9.
Yeah, that whole third door thing, they could have written that in better. Like, I mean that not in a way of it was done badly, just in a way that it wasn't just like, oh, now we've got another task to do. Right. That's a lot of what this season feels like.
Yeah. So, for those who don't get what we mean by the third door, if we haven't covered it or said it already in this episode, in season 1, they pushed for the narrative that either Mando's going to take the child and give him off to someone, or a Jedi, or whatever, or he's going to carry on around his life with the child, but one way or another there's going to be some sort of development in what he does with the child. And in this episode kind of introduced the narrative of, well, no, he's going to now take him somewhere, and hopefully he's going to choose whether he wants to be a part of the Force Lord, to cut himself off from it, which is just them introducing the child. Yeah.
He takes the child to the Armourer. The Armourer tells him to take him to a Jedi, So he takes him to another Mandalorian. So he takes it to a former Jedi who's telling him to take it somewhere else. And don't get me wrong, it would be fine, but I feel like it might have been better if maybe the armor or Bo-Katan had said something along the lines of, I don't know, take the child to the ancient planet of Tython. It's a planet sacred to the Jedi, and a Jedi should be able to sense his presence there, or something like that. I mean, it's a bit cheap and it does cut a lot of cool stuff out, but simply on the basis of they could have fit a lot more development for our characters in the season simply by not taking so long to get to the main plot. It could have been better. Now, I'm not saying I don't like the way they've done it. I do like the way they've done it because it's given them a way to introduce a lot more and give a lot more characters a chance to show up or continue showing up.
Like Fish Guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Birdseye.
I don't really care about him.
No, Fishman Frank is a lad.
Like, he's
I've had
funny,
more
but
burps of intelligence than him.
No, that's
Chris, your piece?
Yeah, I'd say about an 8 to a 9. Yeah, I definitely enjoy. I don't know unless I don't know they pull some mental shit and we get fucking Rex, Boba Fett, Ahsoka, Grogu, Mando, like Bo-Katan, and hell, like all on the screen at once. I'm not saying that they must do this to make me give it a 10. I don't know if I could ever give anything a 10 because I don't know if anything will ever be perfect. But this is like 7, 8, 9 around that area for sure. Very high, very high.
Yeah, I
More than
agree.
they
I
are.
think the only way that they could get it to that 10 status, I feel like they would have to make the episodes longer so they could have more character development and bring more characters in. Like you said, like if we had Boba Fett, Bo-Katan, the Mandalorian, whether they'd be on opposing sides or not, I don't know. Doesn't really matter to me. Simply seeing Boba Fett interacting with a Mandalorian would probably make me happy.
But they got to do more with him, surely. They're just going to have Mando have his armor in and that be it. But I don't use it, just have it.
I'm not sure if I've mentioned this so far, but I feel like if they're going to do something more with him in The Mandalorian, I feel like they'll do it in the next season.
Maybe, yeah. Like, they fucking like,
Mainly because they've already brought in a lot this season. They've got the cloning arc, they've got Grand Admiral Thrawn, Moff Gideon, Boba Fett, Ahsoka, Mandalore as a whole.
Like they've got
And then there's the whole side plot of moving Grogu around.
But they've got to do something more with Bo-Katan and that. They're not going to have Katie Sackhoff come along just to be like there for a bit and never seen again. And if they see Boba's armor, would they not necessarily recognize as Boba Fett, but be like, yo, this looks a lot like Django? And that we don't know about. We don't really like Django. He did things.
No, I don't think they would compare it to Django because Django's armor was different. I feel like they would know who Boba Fett is because he had a notorious reputation.
Alright.
Like, I feel like if Bo-Katan was to see that armor, that she might be like, I've seen that armor before. And then Mando would be like, another man, yeah, I found this Mandalorian's armor on some dust ball, somebody had salvaged it. And then Bo-Katan could, if they wanted to keep with the whole he's not a real Mandalorian thing, have Bo-Katan say something along the lines of, he was no Mandalorian. Or something like that.
Some sort of hostility to him then,
Yeah. Show some hostility. And that, it gives a reason to bring him back if Bo-Katan got a spin-off show, or if Boba Fett got a spin-off show to bring Bo-Katan in, or if they don't have spin-off shows for them right away and they do a Mandalore arc to bring them both in there.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But I don't think things clicked in my head.
Right.
Now, on the second viewing, I liked it a lot more. I noticed a lot of the subtle details, the subtle references that didn't feel forced. And I did really like it. So, I think I have to agree with you guys, 8 or 9. And I say that because the very few things that were wrong are very small nitpicks, very small. And the attention to detail, I'm not sure if we've actually mentioned this in the video. We did definitely mention it before the video about Mando's rifle.
Yes, he had it with him.
Yeah, so it's a small detail, but whenever he has his jetpack on, he doesn't have the rifle. Which I guess kind of makes sense, because if it's still slung over his shoulder while he's got the jetpack on, it's going straight down, he's going to try and run, it's going to poke him in the leg. And if that taser bit is still activated, he's just running. Zzz, zzz, zzz. It's not going to be fun.
No.
Whereas when he doesn't have the jetpack on, he's got the rifle and it's at an angle. So it makes sense that he can't carry all of his equipment around at the same time, because, to be honest, that would make him a bit too OP, and he's OP enough with his Beskar armor. So I think they need to find a way to balance that scale. Because, yeah, he can get knocked around by superior fighters, but he can just be like, I've got Beskar, I might be getting concussed, but you can't kill me. So, yeah. I think, to stop it from being a, oh yeah, I'm going to go 8 or 9, I'm going to go with a 9.
Fair.
So that's our overall rating then, 9?
Lamar, what did you rate it again?
I rated it a 9, but it wouldn't go higher due to how they, the third door and all the other stuff that went into it.
Fair enough, yeah. Yeah, I'd say about a 9 then overall, yeah, because I gave it 7, 8, 9, but I'm leaning more 8 or 9. So, yeah, it's about 9.
Yeah, so a very good episode. Lots of references, trying to expand on the Filoniverse. We expanded on Baby Yoda, we have some backstory.
No longer a
So-
baby Sue, even though he wasn't anyways a baby. But, yeah.
Like, this episode, so far, in my opinion, was the best balanced in terms of action and character building. Because it built up, it's given us the backstory of Baby Yoda in a short, simple, but not crappy, lazy way of doing it. In my opinion, it didn't feel like it was forced and lazy like some other way. Because they could have done this in other settings and it would have felt lazy. But the way they did it, I felt like, okay, that's cool. So, it's given us good backstory, it's given us good action, it's given us returning characters, it's given us teasers for the future. I think it is definitely deserving of the overall 9.
It is. I do agree to that, I do agree.
So I do believe that's all we have to talk about in this episode.
I think you are right, I do agree. We have covered a lot, well, some things. We've talked about some things. And we have theorized some things. Very, very much so, yes.
A lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff has happened.
God knows
today.
how long this episode is.
I might have to do 2 clips. I don't know. I might be able to chop it down and put it in one, but it's gonna be almost an hour, pretty much.
It's gonna be tight.
I had to start a second recording, and I think I did that right, so I think we're okay. I think I did it good this time, instead of just randomly. Yeah, I think it'd be alright.
Well, on that note, join us next week. Same batshit time, same batshit time. No, fuck off. Fuck that. Okay, what happened was, I'm pacing up and down while I'm talking, right? I've turned around, nearly tripped over my barbell, and then it's put me off.
Maybe I should have done the outro then.
You really fucking should.
I do it too polite though.
Oh, just be firm with it, man. Like you're
firm
trying
with
to get rid of Jehovah's Witnesses.
I've never had to deal with a Jehovah's Witness before.
Well, imagine for us all.
Okay, I also had my dad knock on the door, so
Maniac.
nice big bit of content to cut out for you, Chris.
Yes.
You.
Alright.
Okay, so on that note, join us next week, same batshit time, same batshit channel. Fuck off.